Welcome to today's chilling tale, The Mystery of Haunted Dolls. Dolls are meant to be innocent toys, but what if behind their painted smiles and glassy eyes hides something far more sinister? For centuries, haunted dolls have been the subject of fear and fascination. Objects that seem to move on their own, whisper in the night, and carry curses that bind themselves to their owners. Tonight, I'll take you deep into a story told in the first person, where one innocent encounter with a porcelain doll turns into a terrifying fight for survival. As the mystery unfolds, you'll discover secrets that should have remained buried, and a curse that refuses to die. So grab your headphones, dim the lights, and prepare for a journey you won't forget. And before we begin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more spine-chilling stories every week. The Doll That Found Me. I never believed in haunted objects. Ghosts, yes, at least in the stories my grandmother used to tell. But dolls, they were just toys, pieces of porcelain and cloth, too innocent to carry anything dark. At least, that's what I thought, until the day the doll found me. It was a rainy afternoon when I wandered into a small antique shop on the corner of an old street. The place smelled of dust and age, with shelves stacked so high that the dim light barely reached the ceiling. I wasn't looking for anything in particular, just killing time. But then my eyes caught something on the highest shelf, a porcelain doll. Her face was pale, almost too perfect, with cheeks tinted rose and lips frozen in a faint smile. But it wasn't her beauty that pulled me closer, it was her eyes. Large, glassy, and unsettlingly real, they seemed to shine even in the dark. I swear, the moment I looked into them, I felt a cold shiver crawl down my spine. "Ah, that one," the shopkeeper said, his voice low and cautious. "She's been here longer than I can remember." He hesitated, as if debating whether to say more. "Not many people. Keep her for long." I almost laughed, thinking it was some marketing trick, but something in his tone, the unease in his eyes, made me uneasy too. Still, I don't know why, I asked him to take the doll down. When he placed her in my hands, I felt it instantly. The porcelain was cold, colder than it should have been, almost like holding ice, and yet I couldn't put her back. It was as if she had chosen me. I left the shop that day with the doll wrapped in brown paper. On the way home, I kept glancing at the package on the seat beside me, feeling watched even though it was sealed. Deep inside, a voice whispered that I had made a mistake. That night, as I unwrapped the doll and set her on my shelf, the air in my room grew heavy. The silence was too loud, pressing against my ears. I turned off the lights, trying to sleep, but I swear, in the corner of the dark room, I felt her eyes still watching me. Whispers in the dead of night. The first night with the doll was strange, but I convinced myself it was just nerves, a trick of the mind. After all, people scare themselves easily in the dark. But by the second night, things started happening that I couldn't explain away so easily. I woke around 3 a.m., the kind of sudden wake where your heart is already racing before you even know why. The room was silent, yet it didn't feel empty. My eyes flicked toward the shelf where I had placed the doll. In the dim glow of the streetlight leaking through my curtains, I saw her, still sitting upright, her face tilted slightly toward me. Something was different. Her lips. They seemed parted, as if she had been whispering but froze the moment I opened my eyes. I rubbed my face and shook it off, telling myself I was half dreaming. But then, I heard it. So faint that I almost thought it was in my head. A whisper. It was like a child's voice, soft and drawn out, though I couldn't make out the words. I sat up, straining to listen, my breath shallow. The sound seemed to come from everywhere, bouncing off the walls, slipping under the bed, and circling my head. I switched on the lamp in panic, and instantly the whispers stopped. The doll was still there, her painted smile unchanged, but her eyes seemed brighter, as if mocking me. The following nights grew worse. I'd wake to faint tapping sounds, tiny porcelain hands maybe, brushing against wood. Once, I swore I heard giggling, high-pitched and fleeting, like it was coming from the corner of my room. I started losing sleep, lying awake for hours, staring at the doll in the darkness, waiting for her to move. By the 5th night, I couldn't take it anymore. I decided to put her away, lock her in the old wooden chest in the attic. Carrying her in my hands, I noticed something terrifying. Her head turned slightly in my grip as though she was resisting being put away. I froze, my heart pounding so hard I could barely breathe. Still, I forced her inside, slammed the chest shut, and locked it. For the first time in days, I felt relief. But that night, just as I drifted into sleep, I heard it again. A whisper right by my ear. "You can't hide me." The eyes that followed. After that whisper, sleep became impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined the doll slipping out of the attic chest and creeping back into my room. My nights turned into endless hours of staring at shadows, jumping at every creak of the house. One morning, desperate to prove I was just scaring myself, I went up to the attic. My hands trembled as I unlocked the chest. The hinges groaned, and for a moment I held my breath, bracing myself for the worst. But there she was, sitting perfectly still, exactly as I had left her. Her porcelain face looked harmless again, almost innocent, as if daring me to believe none of it had happened. I tried convincing myself it was stress. Maybe I was overworked. Maybe the whispers were just dreams blending into reality. With that thought, I shut the chest and left. But that night, something changed. I was sitting at my desk, trying to drown my nerves in music, when I felt it. A prickling at the back of my neck. The sensation of being watched. Slowly, I turned toward my bookshelf and froze. The doll was there, not in the attic, not in the chest. She was sitting neatly on the top shelf, her head slightly tilted, her glassy eyes staring directly into mine. I dropped my headphones, my pulse roaring in my ears. There was no way, absolutely no way, she could have moved. I hadn't opened the attic since that morning. My mouth went dry, but I forced myself to step closer, as if daring her to move again. Her painted lips curled in that same faint smile, but this time, it looked wider, almost alive. Panicking, I grabbed her, shoving her into a bag and locked it in my closet. I even piled books on top of the door for good measure. But later that night, when I turned off the lights, I could see her silhouette through the thin crack under the closet door. And then I realized the worst part. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dark. No matter where I moved in the room, they followed me. Always watching, always waiting. Secrets hidden in the attic. By now, I knew this was no longer my imagination. The doll wasn't just an object. It was something alive, something that wanted me. But why? I had to know. The attic was the only place that felt connected to her. It was where I'd locked her away, where the whispers had grown loudest. So one afternoon, with daylight streaming through the small attic window, I forced myself back inside. The air was heavy with dust, and the wooden floor groaned beneath my steps. I found myself staring at the old chest, dreading the thought of opening it again. But before I could even touch it, something else caught my eye. A stack of yellowed newspapers shoved into a corner, brittle with age. Curiosity tugged at me. I knelt down and began sifting through them. Most were ordinary, faded headlines about politics and weather, but one, from nearly 30 years ago, made my blood run cold. Local girl found dead in mysterious fire. Only her doll survives. My stomach twisted as I scanned the article. The girl's name was Evelyn. She was only 10 when her house caught fire under strange circumstances. Neighbors claimed they saw her bedroom windows glowing long before the flames spread. By the time firefighters arrived, the girl was gone. The only thing left untouched in the ashes was her porcelain doll. I didn't need the picture to know. It was the same doll I had sitting in my closet right now. The article mentioned something else too. After the fire, the doll was passed from owner to owner, but no one kept it for long. strange deaths, accidents, disappearances. Some returned it to the antique shop where I had found it. Others weren't so lucky. A chill swept over me as the attic grew colder, unnaturally so. I turned back to the chest and froze. The lid was open. Inside, the doll was gone. I stumbled backward, panic seizing my chest. The whispers started again, louder now, echoing off the attic walls. This time I could make out the words, "Play with me, forever." My blood turned to ice as I realized something. The doll didn't just want to be owned. She wanted a replacement for the girl who had died, and she had chosen me. Breaking the curse, or becoming it. The attic spun around me, the whispers rising to screams. The doll was no longer in the chest, yet I felt her everywhere. Every corner of the room pulsed with her presence. My breath came in short, panicked gasps as I stumbled down the attic stairs, desperate to escape her grip. But she was faster. When I reached my room, there she was, sitting neatly on my bed, as though she had been waiting for me all along. Her head tilted, glassy eyes gleaming, lips stretched in that terrible painted smile. I couldn't run anymore. I had to end this. My eyes darted around the room, searching for anything that could destroy her. My gaze landed on the fireplace poker I kept nearby for winter. With trembling hands, I grabbed it and stepped toward the bed. "I don't belong to you," I whispered, though my voice shook. "I'm not your Evelyn." For the first time, I swore the doll moved. Her lips parted and that childlike voice hissed through the air. "Yes, you are." A surge of terror pushed me forward. With all my strength, I brought the iron rod crashing down on her porcelain head. The sound of shattering glass echoed through the room. Pieces of her face scattered across the floor, her once perfect eyes rolling lifelessly away. The whispers stopped. For a moment, silence filled the house, so deep it rang in my ears. My chest heaved, sweat dripping down my face. It was over. It had to be. But then, I felt it. A chill, deeper than before, curling around my spine. The air grew heavy, pressing down on me. And in the shards at my feet, I saw something horrifying. A reflection. Not of my face, but of hers. Evelyn's. A small girl with hollow eyes, staring back at me through the broken porcelain. The voice returned, louder than ever inside my head this time. "You broke the doll. Now you must take her place." My vision blurred. My body grew heavy, frozen. The last thing I remember before the darkness took me was the sensation of tiny porcelain fingers curling around my skin. And now, when someone enters the antique shop, they see a doll on the highest shelf. Her face pale, lips curled in a faint smile, eyes watching, waiting. And that brings us to the end of The Mystery of Haunted Dolls. Some say dolls are just toys. But after this story, do you still believe that? Perhaps the next time you walk past an antique shop, you'll think twice before locking eyes with a porcelain face. Because sometimes the things we own end up owning us. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more terrifying tales. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you never miss a haunting upload. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and watch the shadows.